Just about every week, I get someone asking me why the Yakuza series gets a free pass reusing art and locations from previous entries in the series. It's a reasonable question, especially when you see games like Far Cry Primal and Metal Gear Survive getting torn down for remixing pre-existing assets, yet fans of the Yakuza series would riot if Kamurocho was missing. The Yakuza series is an annualized franchise, meaning a new iteration comes out each year. Unlike Western titles such as Activision's Call of Duty or Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed series, series fatigue has not yet set in for fans of the Yakuza games. This is despite it existing for nearly as long, or in some cases longer, than other games criticized for their yearly iterations. On top of that, each release in both domestic and foreign markets, the game only becomes more popular, with each new game outselling the last by usually a few 100,000 copies. Except for Dead Souls, but we'll talk about that in another video. Based on the real-life town of Kabukicho in the red light district of Tokyo, Kamurocho manages to paint a picture of a real-life functioning city through an almost parodic, condensed video game lens. Other games like Sleeping Dogs or The Division have tried to bring real-world locations into a game world, but none of them are memorable. Sure, you may see landmarks and things you recognize, but you bounce between locations without ever getting absorbed. Toshihiro Nagoshi, Yakuza's lead producer, series creator, and at the time of this recording, chief creative officer at Sega, has said in interviews that due to Yakuza releasing a new version each year, it's possible to expand on the details. The biggest thing that keeps fans coming back for more after 10 years is simple: Kamurocho feels alive. Kamurocho is one of those special locations in video games, your main hub for every title in the series and the place Kazuma Kiryu calls home. It may not be obvious each time you return, but it's the little things that make it special. Let's go back to the original release of Ryugogotoku on the PS2 and try to work out why this place is endured. Overly aggressive pocket tissue marketers litter the streets, and you can't go 5 steps without the camera angle changing and a split second of loading. The slowdown is irritating and the frame rate is in the toilet, not to mention everyone is blurry. Overwhelming neon signs line the streets, and the background chatter makes you feel like you're out late at night in a densely populated urban environment. There's a tenseness to the atmosphere. The one thing the first game does above all the others is give Kamurocho its edge. It feels thrilling and dangerous, a place where anything could happen. Yakuza 2 released only 1 year later, and already the difference is staggering. You can actually see the people on the streets, and the amount of unique NPCs on screen at once is astounding. The frame rate is still pretty bad, but much better than Yakuza 1. In only a year, they managed to improve the engine dramatically, even though it needed to be remade from the ground up for the next gen later that same year. With the next release being the spin-off title Kenzen, Team Ryugogotoku had extra time to work on building a brand new 3D Kamurocho and its citizens. Kenzen's game engine was used as a testing ground to try out new concepts that would become staples in the later games. Yakuza 3 rolled around and we finally got Kamurocho in its 3D glory. There was still slowdown and the character animations looked subpar even at the time, but that moment you step into Kamurocho and spin your camera around taking in every tiny detail is one you'll never forget. Yakuza 3 set the standard for a modern-day living Tokyo. Yakuza 4's Kamurocho introduced the underground area, which included sewers, the underground mall, and under the Kamuro Theater. New rooftops stretched across the entire city, making for some awesome chase battles, and the back streets, including Little Asia, offer a glimpse of Kamurocho we hadn't seen before. These additions proved that the city can still surprise us. They took what was already a deep open world and added a denseness to it that no other game has. Dead Souls is the strange outlier of the series, meant as a way to say farewell to the Yakuza 4 engine and create shooting mechanics for the upcoming binary domain. It paints a picture of a Kamurocho ravaged by zombies and death. Since it was the final game in this engine, they literally tore down the city. Yakuza 5 did surprisingly little to change Kamurocho, even using pretty much the exact same model from Yakuza 4, despite being a new game engine. This time updates consisted of swapping out a few buildings and tie-in ads, as well as totally redoing the battle system to allow street fights to happen more naturally. Yakuza 5, however, has the best reveal out of all of the games, only allowing you to return to Kamurocho in the final chapter. It feels like coming home. No other game I can think of gives you that feeling when you see Kamurocho's archers 30 to 40 hours in. You're just excited to be back. Adverts are swapped out and some stores are missing, but you've been visiting this place for years now, so the little things make the difference. To a casual player, it's a reuse of assets. To someone looking for the differences, Kamurocho has moved forward in time. Much like Kenzen, Ishin allows the team to make improvements on the engine. This resulted in a more streamlined game world with less loading times, games that would work on both PS3 and PS4, and some damn good fabric effects. Yakuza 0 was another chance to see Kamurocho in a new light. Suddenly the city you've been living in had been thrown back to the mid-1980s. Everything is sleazier, trash is littered around the streets, product tie-ins are nostalgic, and mini-games are era-specific. Yeah, you still know where everything is, but the whole town has its edge back. There's a danger to Kamurocho in the 80s that hasn't been felt since Yakuza 1. They've introduced a mechanic and a narrative that has you financially supporting Kamurocho development. The kickbacks from this helps you level up your character, forcing you to become literally invested in the city in a way only the Yakuza can. Kiwami introduced Majima Anywhere, a unique boss fight system that turns Majima into the nemesis from Resident Evil 2. Just as a side note, this is actually crazy annoying. Please don't bring this back. But the best part of Kiwami is seeing the classic city from Yakuza 1 remade in HD. You get to visit locations that have long been removed from the series like Purgatory and take it all in again. And then there's Yakuza 6. And from what I've seen so far, it's taking it to the next level again. They're totally remaking the city at a one-to-one real-life scale with the ability to weave in and out of buildings at your leisure. Structures have depth and even roads are slightly sloped to allow for rain to realistically run into the gutters. It looks amazing. And that's the crux of what I'm trying to get at here. Kamurocho isn't a city stuck in time like every other game. Sure, it looks the same on the surface, but with almost every entry set in the current year it's released, Kamurocho is always a modern day city. From the slow decline of NPCs pushing their smutty products onto you, to the construction of Kamurocho Hills actually taking as long as a real hotel construction would, things have moved forward. And that's something you just don't see with any other game series. In most games you visit a world, you have your adventure, and you move on. Even titles that just reuse assets to push out sequels like Hyperdimension Neptunia have worlds that feel like a chore to return to. Kamurocho is designed to be lived in and revisited every couple of years to see what's up. It's not just the location, it's the people that occupy it. Characters keep coming back and have long overarching stories that continue in each game. You check in on their lives, see how things are going, and help solve their problems, then move on until next time. The people have grown along with the town, and I can't think of any series that does that so well. In fact, let me know in the comments if you guys know any games that have sub-stories that carry over through multiple entries in a series. I tried my best to come up with some, but the best I could come up with was the Suikoden series. Maybe Dot Hack or Shin Megami Tensei. Banjo-Kazooie, kind of, I guess. Let me know if you guys can think of anything else. Nagoshi-san, during one of the Sega Raw broadcasts in 2011 when the final locations were being decided on for Yakuza 5, said that Kazuma Kiryu is the Mario of the series. Having a Ryu Gogotoku game without Kiryu would just feel wrong. And I don't think that's true. We've seen Yakuza games without Kiryu. We had 2 whole spin-offs done by a completely different dev team. And you know what? They're great. They don't feature Kiryu, but they do feature Kamurocho. Kiryu is only part of a larger whole. The real star of the Yakuza games is Kamurocho. Even in the titles where other cities exist, there is a sense of relief coming back. The ownership you feel every time you're back on familiar grounds is the same as that feeling of returning home. Sure, things have changed a little since last time you were here, new buildings have gone up, some have moved on, but you know where every alley leads to, every shady back entrance and casino. You know these streets, these sewers, these people, and you know how to handle them. This is your town, and you'll fight to keep it. Hey guys, I just want to let you know, thanks for following along with me on this journey through Kamurocho and why it's so fantastic. It really is the best location in video games. If you'd like to support us, then please consider joining us on Patreon. That keeps the lights on around here. That lets me continue putting out videos at a faster pace than ever before. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who is a subscriber. You are all awesome, and you let me keep doing what I love. And please, if you'd like to help out but don't have the cash, then just make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and share this video around with anyone that you think would be interested in it. Anyway, thank you, and I will catch you guys next time. Goodbye.